Hello and welcome. Happy lunar eclipse, full moon in Libra. This is going to be a tarot card reading, energy check-in, and oracle card pull. It's not going to be too long. There's been just like, it's very intense energetically. I think people can tell. I woke up at 2 a.m. with like just the worst migraine, which doesn't really happen to me. Usually the onset is when I'm awake, but even in the nighttime, I had like patches of my vision that I couldn't see through because I get a couple different kinds of migraines. I get visual migraines with aura where you can't see, and then the headaches, but very strange to wake up that way. Made it really hard to get back to bed. And now I have like migraine hangover today. My head hurts really badly. Other thing I've been going through is like, I do get stress hives on my skin that become really itchy every now and then. And I've actually been taking several days to not be so stressed. Just take a beat, take a breath, and ground myself. But my skin has been really activated, like to the point where I don't really have stress hives, but there's something about shedding. I mean, of course, I'm not a medical professional. If you have any type of medical symptom or acute symptom of discomfort or pain, then seek professional treatment. But it's basically incontestable at this point, even from somebody who's not a medical professional, that ascension symptoms are part of the way the body acclimates to expanding energy. Lots and lots of people corroborate the same types of symptoms for different passages and different energy cycles. So if you know, there's something with that. And just the skin needing exfoliation, really needing to like I saw a video the other day on Instagram of a Korean body scrub, and I was like, that's what I need. That's what I want. I want to lie there and like just be completely exfoliated. I've been using Epsom salts, but they're not as granular as the kind that I like. So anyway, I'm just starting off with some messages about the body and being incredibly gentle with yourself. Lots of hydration. I'd like to get 1 Empath's Oracle, 2 of the Ascended Masters, and then I'm going to pull the reading, and I'm going to clarify the main spread with the gold foil tarot. We'll see if I can do this in 40 minutes or less. So as far as what is happening in the world right now, it was a couple weeks ago, and I was like, the distractions are going to be heightening. The distraction energy is going to be heightening. And I mean, we already see it. I don't know what's going on with... Like, this is the type of stuff that I'm just so cautious to talk about on YouTube, but I'm just going to go for it in the vague way that I usually do. You know, the royal family, Princess Kate with her cancer, but also the way that she totally, I mean, it was very strange the way they were just like all up in her narrative around the doctored photos, which is a complete joke because so many of the images and videos that we're presented with are doctored. Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I shuffle these the right way? It's like I'm mixing them. Why would I be doing this? It's just... Yep. Okay. So, and then it was also weeks ago that I shared something I was picking up on around like, you know, cancer spiking. Young people who were previously not considered groups in danger of high cancer rates are getting increasing diagnoses. Like, I always screenshot the news articles because there's always, when you look back on it and see these narratives get pulled through, there's always a seeding and then more and more and more. And so we're just kind of watching this thing play out. This could be, you know, like round 2 as far as whatever's been developed in Russia with some type of cancer vaccine, all of that. It's huge distraction from other stuff that's going on. Whatever's on the, you know, the tip of the tongue of the media is never what's really happening. I also just, oh God. thinking about the music industry and what's getting put out there and the timing of everything right now. I've spoken on Olivia Rodrigo before, and you know how she's sort of in the more like there's always going to be a next youngest, hottest young girl celebrity, young woman, and like the Gen Z ones that were released years ago ahead of wherever we are now is like the Millie Bobby Brown, Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo. Who else? I think Lil Nas X is like in his young 20s too. But the same thing with him. Lil Nas X came out with a song that was relatively normal, mainstream hit, and then immediately went in a different direction. And Olivia Rodrigo's not really doing that, but her performances are, they are what they are. And I don't even need to point out how absolutely insensitive it. Her whole tour is called Guts. And like, you know, it's about relationships and stuff, but she's at a point in her life where she's not maturely processing her emotions. And so like the lyrics that she's screaming out to all these young people is like, I want to make him jealous and ruin his life. I'm so angry. I even saw a clip of one of her concerts where she was like, think about what pisses you off the most. We're going to turn the lights out and I want you to scream your head off and get all that rage out. And that's really interesting because collective effervescence, collective manifestation, she's bringing people together to get them all angry. But, you know, people like togetherness and people like to be distracted from their pain and people like to feel that they're not alone in their pain and all that. But while we have people literally being blown up, it's just crazy. It's not okay. Nothing is okay. And yet, here we are, and kind of takes us back to the whole thing around, like, it's so not okay that we're in the shift. There's been so many things that people have turned away from, very similar to the storylines that we find ourselves in now, but we're just at these very extreme points within very similar templates and whatnot that have been playing out for a long time. These are ways of being for humanity that have been running on autopilot. And so the people who are waking up are consciously interrupting these scripts and going in a different direction. More and more people will continue to do that. And I've taken a few days off from longer form readings. I'm going to continue to take some time off. Maybe I'll get back into posting little shorts again. Again, it's only been like 2 or 3 days, but whenever I take some days off and I disconnect from posting like this, it feels like a long time. But there's been just like big new levels of coming to terms with certain karma releasing that I'm being asked to do right now, like things that I didn't fully understand before. And that has to do with like bloodline healing and ways of beings and patterns and things that I'm seeing are bigger than me, that I carry with me though, that I can stop doing, things that I've set myself up for karmically, perhaps in some ways, that there's like, you know, last little bits of putting things to rest. It's interesting because I've recorded 2 videos in the past week and a half that I didn't post because they were for me and I was speaking on things that I didn't understand yet. And then in the last couple of days, they've become clear. So lots of moving parts right now. What's our Empath's Oracle card? Thank you for letting me speak. I will put something in the description box so people can skip to the cards if you don't want to do the intro. Celebrating the world's diversity, 37. Okay. Celebrating the world's diversity. I am getting a message with this right away because something around different levels of enlightenment, really, and ability to sift through the different levels of shadow play. Your God-given gift of discernment and also your higher senses as far as being able to see a little bit more multidimensionally or opening up your third eye, all of that, being able to cut through all the crap that we're presented with. There's different levels of how people are showing up within that space. And I mean, people they show you what it is they know based on how they act and what they choose to say. You don't have to wonder these days where somebody's at within their consciousness because they demonstrate it. And it's becoming increasingly apparent. And I think a lot of people Cognitive dissonance, when we don't understand something, we don't like it. So there's something within the collective where there's like a little bit of like a tantruming child. Like there's a very strong agitation that has to do with the eclipse portal that we're entering. We're also in the Mercury retrograde shadow period. To be honest, this Mercury retrograde that's going to take hold at the beginning of April, I'm excited for. I think we need it. I think it's going to help us, well, what it usually does is help us go back and ensure that we've crossed T's and dotted I's, but it brings our attention back to things that we're trying to move away from, for a look around, a look again, a second glance. And again, I see like all the things that we end up encountering during times of retrograde are the little things that go wrong. It's all about, you know, conjuring patience from within, the things that make you stop and go back. Like I've heard it said that if you leave your keys in the house and you have to go back inside and you don't, it's a false start and you have to go back in and you're frustrated because you're like, damn it, where is it? You're looking. Legend has it that your guardian angels are protecting you from something, and you just narrowly missed being hit by a truck on the sidewalk because you were forced back in, yet you're in there like, I'm late, I gotta go. So there's always things that we're not able to see, and I feel like the collective agitation, cognitive dissonance, how it's translating for people who are not as, I think, like awakened to a lot of the shadow play and different levels of what's happening on Earth right now. They just get agitated. And what is agitation if not fear at a more deep level, at a deeper level? So that's what I'm getting with this, like the world's diversity. It's so very hard once we realize something or once we know something. Like you have very peaceful people. I mean, I can be guilty of what I'm about to say. Like people who know their truth and everything, but then they're wanting. They have to step outside that in order for other people to know it. None of that right now, right? In some way, in some world, give yourself some reason. The person who's pissing you off the most, the way that you just can't understand what's happening over there, like that's how wounded they are. And see them as an extension. See them as like your right arm or your left arm. They're part of you that's going about it a different way to come back around to the same understanding and, you know, their choice, their free will. Makes me think about addicts, right? Because I've struggled with addiction for a long time. A lot of people do. You can't get somebody who's an addict to stop doing it unless they want to. If you do, they will just develop secrecy behaviors and they will continue doing what it is they want to do, you know? That's why it's so terribly painful in so many cases to be the friend or family member of somebody who struggles with addiction, because you see what they're doing to themselves and you want them to change. But if they don't want to, which they probably don't until they do the deep healing necessary in order for them to not need the behavior, they're not going to want to change. And nobody likes to be told what to do. And so there's something, I don't think that the book is going to give me a similar interpretation, but my personal interpretation of this energy is like, live and let live, as always. It's a particularly hard time to do that right now. Another reason why I'm just so, like, I can't do readings, I just need to rest as much as I can and take care of myself, because when I do try to give readings, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Can't speak. I have a lot of tension in my jaw. I've been having just crazy dreams. I woke up yesterday, I had like sagas, like 16 different dreams, and I probably had like 10 last night. Long dreams, many dreams, and waking up yesterday, the last dream within these like little vignettes was me and my friend, and I was dyeing her hair blonde. And I wake up and I check my phone. I mean, I don't check my phone immediately. I say affirmations and I ground myself within my body, and I'm like, I'm awake. But eventually I reach for my phone. And she had texted me and she said, I woke up that you got a haircut and it was in a bob. And I was like, well, I just woke up and I had a dream that we did your hair. So, what are the odds of that? Granted, we have been talking about hair, her and I, recently. But still, there's just this, like, non-stopness to the energy. And I would love to come on here and be like, we're going to have a break. It's going to get easier. It's not. Things are intensifying. Like I said in the 2024 forecast video, April, May, and June are these months where everything is going to change so much that we're going to be like Roadrunner going by a coyote, and it's like people's heads are going to spin, I think, just a little bit. There's also a lot of different probabilities and timelines that are, I mean, every day, every moment, like things are crystallizing a little bit more, but it's uncertain the magnitude of what is about to take place in April at this point. All right, so essential themes with this card: celebrating the world's diversity, looking outside ourselves in order to avoid emotional overload, studying different cultures, identities, religions, and ways of life, celebrating our own unique contributions to the world's diversity. The explosion of color in this image illustrates the diversity of joy and life as a symbol of personal freedom. The bird depicted in this card's art is especially prominent. Is it though? Because I missed it completely. I suppose it is. There's a bird on the side, yeah. Empaths from all walks of life desire for every living being to be free from suffering. We must start with ourselves while we examine our own contributions to freedom or suffering for other beings through our daily choices. Yeah, I mean, empaths do want people to be free of suffering, but empaths also realize, and like, this is where things get super dicey with like biblical prophecy and like how things are taken out of context and how people fail to just, right, things have been edited and we don't have the full accounts of how certain things have gone. So people are using biblical prophecy as excuse for horrific acts and stuff. And in some ways, we're watching, I don't know if I ever posted this reading, but it's like, you know, the elite of all classes, of all forms, entertainment industry, athletic, political, just this monster of a machine, particularly in America. It's like it's been shot with a bow and arrow and it's writhing and it's dying, but it's sort of trying to strike back and get as many aggresses outwards as it can before it takes its last breath, which is sort of an intense image, but that's what I'm getting. Except while we watch that, it was never it's part of you. You know, there has to be this deep empathy for the stuff that's dying right now, because again, like whoever the evilest, baddest person in the thing, whoever's got an evil fortress in the side of a cave in Saudi Arabia and all the technology that no one's ever seen before, and they're running the whole thing, you know, it's not like that. But that could have been you. That could have been me. Everyone has wound up somewhere and has been conducting themselves in the ways that they have. And there's a massive ability to pivot that direction. It's sort of like all these heels. I'm seeing all these horses that have been charging and they're all trying to dig their hooves in. And there's tons of dust getting kicked up, so we can't see anything. Yeah, that's a cool image, actually. It's very wild, very unbridled. It goes back into the Wild West stuff that I've been talking about, too, which is obviously... I'm really glad I mentioned that at the time that I mentioned it at, because then it's just continued and intensified. So, the lunar eclipse full moon today, the image that I'm getting is as if we're in a hang gliding situation. I don't know really what those are. Hang glider. There's different kinds of risky activities that you can do these days that have different names, like base jumping. This is hang gliding though. So you have something, you're basically locked in at the shoulder level, but your feet are dangly. And it's like we have something to stand on and it goes away and we're in that dangly mode because we're getting ready to go, you know, like we're not on, it's jumping. But particularly in the image, not us jumping out, us being somewhere and having it be pulled out from underneath us. And I don't like this, I shouldn't say it, but it also brings to mind the images around, you know, a certain kind of olden day public assassination where they pull the thing out. But yeah, I believe that the next few weeks until the solar eclipse on April 8th, which is a huge deal. There are billboards in the city that just have pictures of it, and it just says April 8th. I'm like, who paid for that? Like, who's sponsoring this? Like, it's so interesting because there's no other information. just like eclipse, like, yes, 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 this is happening. All right, well, let me read the deeper meaning to this card and then we'll move on, because I'm not going to be able to do this in 40 minutes if I am taking this long. But everything that needs to come out is going to come out during this reading for whoever needs to listen to it. It can be so easy to get caught up in our own experiences of life that we forget the beauty of the world around us. At times, it can be challenging to keep perspective of the world outside our personal spheres. To see ourselves more clearly, we can research and rejoice at the incredible diversity of human culture, flora, fauna, natural environments, and the infinite expanse of the universe around us. It's normal for highly empathic people to feel abnormal, weird, or alien. This is a reason to celebrate. There is nothing wrong with us. We are part of the spectrum of human diversity. We have a very special role in this life and in the lives of those we touch. Blessings to all empaths for our inherent state of understanding and curiosity that transcends all socio-cultural differences. This world is our playground in our school. What an incredible blessing to be a student. Yeah, I mean, I think that the card is asking us to remember that, like, people's lives outside of our own are incredibly valid, and even the highly, you know, empathy is not about how educated or intelligent or smart you are. There are highly, highly intelligent people that are not empathic whatsoever. And I think it has to do with, I actually posted, no, I didn't. I took a video probably last week on Friday or Saturday, and I never posted it, but I was getting visions from like Bug's Life, that old movie from the early 2000s that was an animation, or like ants. And it's like the scope of your world determines your reality. If you never leave your hometown or your country, then you're never going to know a world outside of that. And a lot of people are ignorant because of how available everything is on the screens, and we think that we know and see things, but that's how you can brainwash an entire population of people into believing certain things, because it's simply not true. You will never, ever be able to learn about something through your screen the way that you would if you were able to go outside of your own world. And I mean, it's not just a traveling thing, although I believe that, never mind, we're not gonna do that now. It's also this theological thing where we can keep ourselves in boxes around what I'm seeing this funny little maze, and it's a dead end, and it's one guy in his own mind, and he goes through a couple rooms, and it's not even a loop. It doesn't even circle back. You just always have to walk back the same way. This is like a poorly designed living area. And that's his whole worldview, you know? It's like, it doesn't even make sense. You would want to connect those two ends. So it's, you know, a circular sound thing. A lot of people don't even care that their belief systems don't make sense. They're simply not, again, with cognitive dissonance, they're not capable of expanding themselves because there's a fear that's deep-seated that prevents them from doing so, because we fear what we don't understand. And so in the stead of people opening themselves up, there's going to be judgments and agitation. It is what it is. And I mean, like, if you can be a kind person who offers, I mean, you don't have to, if somebody's horrible to you, then hold your own. It's Aries season, okay? Another reason why I haven't come on here is because I've been like in my Aries energy, and I had, I'm not going to go into detail about this, but it's kind of just a basic misunderstanding, we'll say, but something that thoroughly pushed my buttons. And my friend was, I'm very lucky to have multiple people in my life who are wise, and they know me and they like me, but they know how I can be when I'm going to be an asset to myself, or if I'm going to take something, you know, out, just, I can overreact. We all can. So I got some good advice and I talked myself down, but I was like joking. My friend was like, you're spicy and I love that, but we got to be careful. It's Aries season. You know, I have an Aries placement. I was like, you cross me in Aries season, you get a strongly worded letter. There's no in between. But the deal is, I don't send them. I just write them because I'm processing my own stuff. I don't want to stoke the flames. I'm going to be the bigger person. and not need to be heard. In some cases, it's important to make sure that you express what it is you need to express, but this would make a situation worse. And here's an interesting thing. If you feel like you absolutely need to be heard, they need to know, that's on you. You should never have a burning need. It's on you, because that feeling of it means that you think something will be changed. If they know something about you or about how something went, then it will, that's to be diffused within the individual. All right, so the Ascended Master is helping us at this time. Sir Nunos, Life Force. This is a card that came out somewhat recently. Express your driving passion. Sensual and sexual powers are increased. Yeah, there's been a lot of really sensual waves of energy moving through the collective, and I believe it has to do with the time from like the equinox until now. More of a stabilization of masculine, feminine, male, female energy, as far as like stabilizing yourself and your expressions and ways of being. Wow. This card came out a while ago too. The Miriam, Sacred Vision. Choose to forgive in order to heal. See the light in all. Remember that love has no boundaries. Whew. Yeah, I like this card. Okay, we read from this weeks ago. I don't expect anybody to have watched that reading. I know people just kind of check in and check out, but some people watch most of my videos, so I appreciate that. And anyway, the Miriam are known as twin flame souls who separated but came back together, who guide from the ethers, and they can be called upon. Lilies are such a beautiful symbol too. I love everything about this image because there's roses on the outside. There's like the trifoil trillium, which has its symbolic roots, but I feel like it's like there's a pairing within all humans. This is you, that's your higher self, right? But to be, they're equally weighted. It's like a zygote, or what are they called? A cell splitting. I mean, the origin of the twin flame thing is that Zeus, that humans were neither male nor female. And there was a fear that they were too powerful to have all of that energy in one human being. And so the humans were divided and the sexes were created. But twin flames don't have to be different genders. But anyway, it's like walking yourself home, Baba Ram Dass quote, but through your higher self. So it's saying, see the light in all beings. There are so many challenging, triggering situations, micro, macro. Here's the other thing, is that I think a lot of people go about the world having these big scale conversations about the Middle East and what's happening, and then these bipartisan issues and whatever, and then they can't hold any of that up in their personal life. Like, how do you treat the person that, accidentally bumped you when you were exiting the gas station? So there's like this, like, all same playing field, inner world, outer world, your micro, and then the world's macro, however far a person wants to extend their macro world. Because a lot of people don't even, yes, of course they care, but a lot of people can't. Like, a lot of people partake in kind of like global humanitarian discussions out of fear for not doing that, and because they think if they don't talk about it, that it makes them civically inactive and a bad person. And that's as far as they can go, because the only way that those conversations have affected their lives thus far is how other people see their stance. They're not actually, their lives aren't threatened. So isn't that interesting too, that like a lot of people, for them, all these things like don't exist. They're just conversation. That's a huge way that the American people are stirred and propagandized, because it's like, we end up fighting with each other, but I don't want to talk about that right now either. In general, I like this because if we've got this sensual, sexual life force, and by the way, I think I said in a video, all the ones that I've been referencing are from like the same week. So something is coming full circle. It's probably the last new moon. It's probably the last full moon cycle that I'm speaking on right now. I was talking about not being quick to express or expend in the form of orgasm, really, or like release sexual energy, because sexual energy is life force energy, and there's a lot of merit to being able to not leak out any of your energy and circulate it through the toroidal energy apple core sphere of like your chakra system, and feel more vital and energetic and have more ideas and connect yourself with the earth's energies and universal energies, and move away from the interferences that are trying to come in the way of that flow that us humans can have. I like this because I was talking about conserving that energy, being mindful of that energy, but it doesn't mean that sexual energy isn't important to express and that it's not productive, because it is. And so I feel like these cards are in balance, right? Because this is like a sensual life force, Cernunos. I always say that wrong. What is it? Cernunos. Cernunos? I guess that's right. It's got a very Taurus energy about it, this card. Beautiful. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. But then this one, right? It has sort of an asexual vibe to it, because it looks like just two copies of the same person. That's why I said it's like you and your higher self. Like, who's holding you accountable? Integrity, you know? It's funny. Sometimes people are like, I swear to God, I'm being watched, you know, or like this, birds aren't real, like drones, government surveillance, this and that. You are being watched. Tons and tons of beings are probably electing to watch you. They are with me. You are being watched. So it's not a scary thing, but like, how do you want to behave? My point is that I like that these are balancing out. There's like a feminine and masculine thing, and it's also sexual energy, but it's also like of this world, in this world, but not of it, and allowing for things to be both and. So, all right, let me start pulling current energy, energy to embrace, energy to release. Look at that. We have the Empress on the bottom. And I split it right at the sun. And the Chariot. I think this is strange. It's like people, there's an uptick coming for the next few months. We're just going to get used to it. I think a lot of people are waiting to catch a break and for things to stable out so that they can feel a certain kind of way. That might not happen. Take this with a grain of salt, because I'm just speaking intuitively right now, but it feels as if there's some type of like, people, myself included, it's like we want this thing to open up and clear up, or we're going to be able to have this. That might not happen. This recalibration, it might not be served up to you on a platter. What if it wasn't? You would have to find ways to give yourself that type of rest and recalibration by adjusting the way you're using your time on a 24-hour clock, and find a way to be okay right now, and like, you know, adjust and evolve and adapt to everything. And if you're watching this and you're like, nothing's happening, I don't know what you're talking about, then I'm just a little bit more intuitive than you are. And these things are very real for a lot of people in the spiritual community, but I speak to sort of an extreme, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to do any disclaimers like that right now. Okay. One more, and then I'll cut it, and then we'll do it. Current energy, High Priestess. Energy to embrace, 9 of Pentacles. Energy to release, 2 of Swords. Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, what I'm feeling is that the Two of Swords is that, like, I don't have to make a choice because, and actually this energy's been apropos and fitting for a little while, but now we need to mobilize. So if you have been waiting, because of what I was thinking about with some readings a little earlier, it was like we had this strange feeling like we were chasing our tail, like trying to turn around, but there was like a stick with a feather on it, and every time we tried to look, it was out of eye shot again. And so we got quiet and we sat with ourselves. And like I shared earlier in this reading, a bunch of stuff has sort of been made clear to me, and it's nothing's a massive revelation. I know I need to quit smoking. I know I need to stop doing that, you know, but there's a different way that certain things sink into us sometimes. And all of a sudden it makes sense in a new way. And so there's something around releasing this stalemate energy with the Two of Swords that if you're still sitting waiting for the revelation to take place, the moment went by. It's time to get up now. It's time to get up now. Because the energy we're embracing is the pre-Empress energy around a Nine of Pentacles. So even if you don't feel like you're in a stable position, you are for what it is you need to do next and how things are going to be changing. So say you're lacking stability in one part of, who knows, like something. Don't focus on that. Don't deny it, but focus on what is more intact, because that's where you're going to get your power from, or at least your reassurance that it's safe to continue, you know? I'm going to clarify. These are just so hard to shuffle, so I did it on the ground and now I'm cutting them. Silly, slippery cards. I don't know what person thought this would be a good material to manufacture a deck with. Clarifying High Priestess in current energy is the Eight of Wands. Clarifying Embrace, Nine of Pentacles. It's the Eight of Swords. Well, that's, okay, we'll get there. Clarify Release, Two of Swords. Five of Swords. Okay. Current energy. I mean, this is exactly how I feel. I think anybody intuitive who intuits, or if you are somebody, say you don't really know what your psychic gifting is like, but you know you're different from other people. I think right now you might be able to start, because it's moving so quickly. All of the activity, all the energy is moving so quickly. Right now might be one of those times where you're like, nope, yep, that was definitely an astral projection. That was definitely a lucid dream. That was definitely a psychic download. Like, it might be easier to get this type of stuff right now because it's so much. That's what I'm getting with that. And like I said before, it's not like gonna come back down. This is the way things are going. We're expanding. We're expanding. Energy to embrace, it's the Nine of Pentacles clarified by the Eight of Swords. I want another clarifier. I'm going to cut the deck to get it. I'm going to go like this. This is the energy to embrace, okay? So I'm clarifying it with the Three of Swords, which is our heartbreak and our grieving and our loss. But this is the energy to embrace. So if it's clarified by the Three of Swords, I'm getting that there's something around like a solo adventure into our stability, right? Or feeling like we can't go forward, feeling like we're stuck until we have our stability. That's why I said earlier, it's like if there's only a couple areas that feel really good and stable, but there's a few more things that you're like, I would just wish that would also kind of figure itself out, or that I could have more time to, you know, or that whatever it is, there's so many different categories that we can talk about our stability within, but sort of feels like it's just a personal, for example, it's not about relationships right now. It's a personal, individual relationship to stability. And we're releasing this thing around like, you know, a revelation's going to come. But the energy to embrace is that you don't have to have it all figured out in order to move forward. Don't think that having like your you are only keeping yourself stuck if you give excuses as to why something can't happen. And this one's a little, like, this piece of advice feels a little controversial because sometimes, I don't know why I put these all back, put them back out. I always am looking at commercial storefronts because I want to rent one, but I can't afford it right now. And it just dawned on me after I swapped my bedroom and my art studio that I can just like, this is my property, you know? I want to get a neon sign, hang it up, start doing a ton of the stuff that I've been waiting to do until I can rent a different space, but start doing it now. There's tons of things that we put off, you know, for fear of not being exactly all the gardens with all the blossoms, but that only keeps yourself stuck. So, and again, clarified by the Three of Swords, I feel as if it could come on the tails of some kind of separation where you're not used to having to account for all cornerstones of your stability on your own. For instance, if you've been with somebody for 10 years, then you have to divide the assets, you know, and that can take a really long time and wreak havoc on people's lives. And there's a way to cultivate stability on our own that's not like a fake it. Now, I'm not saying it has to come on the tails of some type of separation either. But the Three of Swords, if it doesn't come on the tails of separation, could indicate sort of a woe is me or a sadness around not being able, like being tied up and not being able to have something. That's a self-limiting belief. But we're embracing it. So allow it to not be something that limits you top to bottom, you know? Like, it can be true that we can only work on or advance one thing right now, but let that door open. That's what I'm getting for energy to embrace. And then in the energy to release, if it's the Five of Swords, clarifying the Two of Swords, I think it just has to do with like refocus on what's in front of you. Refocus on what's in front of you instead of waiting for epiphanies and revelations to come. Or if like you can't make up your mind and you're waiting for the needle to go somewhere, you know, focus on starting something new and going ahead, because then the energy on this card is like, I don't know, I feel like doing something to see how other people are going to react instead of just like minding your own and pushing things along right now. Clarify that. Release Two of Swords, release Five of Swords. What's the clarifier for that? Energy to release. The Moon. Yeah, it's like there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. Why do you think that looking, it's the blind leading the blind right now? Not in a bad way. Not in a condescending way around like, well, they don't know what they're doing either. No, it's more so like your map, your blueprint, your life, your intuition. No one else has that. So I'm not sure why you'd be going to see how someone else, you know, it's a very individualistic transit, I think, that we're going through right now. Like, I think it's just one of those fantastically fascinating, paradoxical moments where everybody's experience is remarkably the same if you shed all of like the labels and stuff, but the intricacies and the nuances of how it's manifesting is infinitely snowflakely different. So it's like, stick to your own intuition. Don't try to get involved in other things, but also sticking with that own intuition. It's not like well, I'm just going to meditate and find out. It's more of like I move the needle. Like, living each and every day is an intuitive act. I can still be in some type of fair, even anticipatory energy where there's an answer that's going to click with me and then I'll know what to say or then I'll know what to do. But don't resign while that's happening. Don't check out. I think I think a lot of people might want to check out. I just mean like you know, numb out the world and kind of just disappear and not have to deal with things right now. All right, let's get the hidden energy on this beautiful lunar eclipse, full moon. Hidden energy. 7 of Swords. Underneath it is the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so what I'm getting with this, and what's the advice on the top of the deck? The 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, I think it just has to do with this like next level. There's something very interesting that comes with this, with the solar eclipse, but I'm not going to get to that yet. I think for the next 2 weeks, what we're dealing with and what we've been experiencing is that like think about strong male masculine energy and how that presents in a man versus in a woman. And I'm just going to go like heteronormative for this. Hi, sweet boy. What's up? Yeah, you puked here last night. Do you remember that? He did. I woke up with my migraine to the sound of my dog vomiting. It was just the greatest for all of us involved. Sort of feels like the masculine, there have been these really core, I mean, it just has to do with rewriting like the convolution in the sexual programming that a lot of humans carry and what the implications of that are, and like how many different little corners and crevices that's wrapped itself around, because it's pretty comprehensive. And so there's something that's equally uncomfortable on both sides. And it's asking us to realize some more stuff. 7 of Swords. It's very, very interesting. Again, I see like a flashlight trying to catch like a bug or a mouse, and the bug or the mouse keeps trying to like get away. That's what the healing journey is. You don't want to leave stones unturned. We want to integrate ourselves, but there's something that's being caught right now. And if you're not feeling it yet, then you will soon. And it's not necessarily the most comfortable feeling, but it's what's necessary for integration. And it's like, we like feeling masterful and like we're in control of what it is that's changing and stuff. And so we kind of keep, it's like I see somebody with a little tent, and every new level of integration and healing, they pitch their tent and they're like, okay, well, I live here now. And then it levels up again and they pitch the tent. They're just eager to have a place to be, because this is not what we all want. You know, we want to be grounded, and it's destabilizing to not have anything to like hang your little cap on as far as like, this is my reality. But things are very shifty right now. So we have to allow for just another thing. What's going to get us to be able to do this? Shuffle it out. What's going to be able to get us to do this? We have to just be able to let a few harsh lessons be learned. Do not fight it. Very, very quickly. Acknowledge whatever it is that you need to do or change in order to, Page of Pentacles was the other card with this, make something start happening for yourself. This is the right time to do that. Karmically, this is the right time to do that. 9 of Swords. It's the stuff that we don't want to have to look at. It's the stuff that makes us feel the worst or the most out of control. What's the hardest thing that you deal with on a day-to-day basis that you do not think that you have any control over, that you cannot fix? There's another way of looking at that. You have to be able to pivot the emotional situation in order to change the thing itself. Changing the emotional situation would be to change a lot from within about how we've even gotten here. So there's something that's going to change your situation if you can start in the present, unbraid the whole braid. It's going to hit something tender that happened a long time. In most cases, it's going to reveal some type of more deeply seated sticking point. But then what's the incoming as a result of doing this? And this is 2 weeks. This is a quick 2-week turnaround here. yeah, I mean, the incoming, we get the Magician, creating something new, being able to manifest from this space, right? Her eyes are closed. She's not able to face something. But once we do, one eye open, one eye closed. I mean, both her eyes are closed. She's just covering it up. But creation, transmutation, and emotional alchemy. And the other card that came out with that for incoming is Eight of Cups. So creating the ability to go somewhere new for more fulfillment. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. What's the biggest advice right now? Because it is just like tense, weird energies. Biggest advice, please. Okay, be very careful of just like people prying into your business. It's the Devil and the Page of Swords. People prying into your business, you getting involved superfluously into other people's affairs. I'm seeing Parrot Spirit from the Animal Oracle. Watch your words. Watch your words. Cutting. Swords. People who have swords, I'm sorry, air placements can be pretty funny. I think the air signs have a natural sort of attunement to like wit and humor, but it can also be like offensive, or it can cause damage without knowing it. So there's something around an immature wielding of connection right now. Like maybe it's just a better time to be a little bit more withdrawn and stuff. For your own reset, and to be able to understand what it is that you're actually looking at, and as far as like, this is what I really need to release before the next eclipse. I also I hear this as like child's play. Like this is like, think about all of the things that people do to put themselves into bad situations. Like this feels like she's like going out somewhere, some late night to do something. The whole thing could be avoided. The whole thing could be avoided. So, and then I'll just do, I have a hard time ending these when I end up going for a little while. I'm going to do one more Empath's Oracle just to finish it. And then I really will finish it. Yeah. Alchemizing confusion into clarity. That's right. So this is what we're going to be doing. Do not be afraid of this process. When your emotions, the biggest indicator that you're resisting this process is if your emotions get really jacked up and you're in a highly emotional state. That could be serious frustration or sadness, or, I mean, anger, I think is the biggest indicator that you're not alchemizing something properly. You need to look at what's being triggered within you and why you feel that way. Because, you know, at the end of the day, there could have been 6 different people involved, but you're the one who's sitting there angry. Nobody else. So, yeah, it's like sort of an intense time, but I'm very excited because I believe that, again, there's like some strange initiatory thing going on with the way that things are changing right now. Soul expansion, Mahavatar Babaji. Mahavatar Babaji, of course. How could I have not pronounced that perfectly on the first? Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connection between all things. Yeah, it's like the stuff that would have totally derailed us and knocked us into a, you know, 6-month coma as far as rebound and being able to pick ourselves back up and resilience. These things, you're able to understand that the web of life, not only are you struck down by events that happen across the globe that offend you and hurt you because you're feeling the pain that those humans are suffering, but you also see the benefit of how every little progress and win also elevates the whole. It's the holographic understanding of interconnectedness, and it's revealed to you through your own energy, plugging into the quantum quilt. So, underneath that, we have charity, prayer, and contemplation. Connect with heaven, ask and you shall receive. If anybody has any particularly challenging stuff that they're going through, please email me. It's a weird time. I might not email you back right away, but I always will. Hope everyone's well.